Is there a clear choice out there for us reef keepers when it comes to finding the best camera for sharing images and videos of our tanks? Recently I did some extensive research while in the market for a new camera, and I believe the camera I settled on, a Sony A7 III, is ideal for aquarium hobbyists, especially for video. Granted, it is not a cheap solution, but I do think it's justifiable to spend decent bucks on camera equipment given how much we tend to invest in corals and tank equipment. Hey, if you have a bitchin' tank, then why not do your best to show it off to the rest of the world? Several years ago, I ended up purchasing a Canon 5D Mark III to take videos and photographs of my reef. I chose the Canon since it could take HD video and was also a popular choice among professional still photographers. The camera did a solid job on the video front, but it lacked certain features, most importantly, the ability to capture 4K video. The Canon 5D Mark III is a DSLR, but what I quickly learned while investigating options is that mirrorless cameras are typically better for video. Why? Well, without a mirror, they are lighter and more compact, making it easier to stabilize the camera. Mirrorless cameras also tend to have superior autofocus. Plus, an increasing number of mirrorless cameras capture 4K video, something only higher-end DSLRs can do. Focusing on mirrorless cameras, I narrowed my search down to three choices: the Canon EOS R, Panasonic's Lumix GH5, and Sony's A7 III. The Canon EOS R is Canon's brand new entry into the mirrorless camera market, and I really wanted to stick with a Canon since I had invested a good chunk of change in Canon lenses. But there were several problems with the EOS R. Number one, it is brand new, a red flag since new products are more susceptible to problems versus established products. Number two, it had no image stabilization in the camera body. Canon lenses do have IS, but the GH5 and Sony A7 III both have in-body IS that can be paired with IS lenses. Stabilization is important to have for taking videos of a reef tank since it smooths out handheld shots, especially when you are tracking fish. Number three, cropped 4K video. The image when shooting 4K video is cropped by a factor of 1.7, meaning less field of view. You can shoot full-frame 4K video with the GH5 and Sony A7 III. Okay, what about the GH5? By many accounts, the GH5 is one of the top cameras for taking 4K video. You can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second and 1080p at 180 frames per second, allowing the shooter to capture brilliant video in slow motion. The Sony A7 III can only record a slow motion video at 120 frames per second while shooting at 1080p. But as you can see from this video, the slow-mo coming out of the Sony at 1080p is not too shabby, especially when you use a gimbal. For advanced shooters who like to do their own color grading and color correction, the GH5 is capable of outputting 10-bit video, a billion colors, versus a lower 8-bit output for the Sony. The big issue with the GH5 is autofocus. By many accounts, it stinks, and for me that was a deal breaker since on-the-fly focus really helps when shooting moving critters in a reef tank. Another benefit with the Sony A7 III is the ability to zoom in further on a shot while shooting 4K video. In crop mode, you can gain an extra 1.5 times reach, while the clear image zoom mode provides an additional 1.5 times reach. The GH5 only has 1.4 times crop in 4K. Pair these features with a really good macro lens, such as the Sony 100mm f2.8, and you will be blown away by the details you can capture. Use a set of extension tubes and get even closer. In terms of cost, the Sony A7 III body costs $2,000, while the GH5 body is a bit less at $1,700. The Canon is the most expensive option at $2,300. Overall, the benefits of the Sony A7 III motivated me to switch from Canon, even though I had to spend a bit more cash on new Sony glass, including the 100mm macro lens and a good all-purpose lens. So how did my switch to the new camera work out? Well, proof is in the pudding, and after 2 months, I am really digging this new camera. Many thanks for watching, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be alerted to my latest videos. And for tips on how to photograph reef tanks and other helpful information on videography and photography, please click on the link in the upper right hand corner of this video. And if you're interested in purchasing a copy of my book, A ReefBum's Guide to Keeping an SPS Reef Tank, please click on the other link in the upper right hand corner. The book includes a whole bunch of tips to help you maintain a beautiful reef tank.